So today we start the first real unit for the course, descriptive analytics, and in particular we're going to be looking at descriptive statistics. Recall from Unit 0 that there are three broad areas for business analytics. There's descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. So we start with the most basic, the descriptive today. And today we're going to focus on the statistics. So before we can do anything with data analysis, we need to know what data is. So how would you define it? So take a second, sit back, think about it, and answer in your own head or out loud to your cat. Is it different than information? Or is it the same thing? Is information more than data or less than data? So these are the types of things you need to be thinking about as we talk about data. So here is how we're going to define it for the course. It's the attributes of objects that we want to study. Quite broad of a definition, but it's broad on purpose. It gives us a lot of flexibility on what we need to do. So that definition then comes to the question of what is an attribute. So what do you think an attribute is? It's simply a description or characteristic that defines the data. And it can be numerical, a number, 1, 2, 3, or it could be a fraction or a decimal, or it could be qualitative, such as eye color, right? So it could be blue, green, hazel, brown, all that. So we're going to be dealing both with numerical data and qualitative data. So where does data come from? We need to be able to get data from somewhere in order to perform any type of analysis on it. So how do we obtain it? So ideally in the business setting, you would go to maybe someone within your organization and request the data, and they'd be able to get it to you quite quickly. You might be in charge of keeping your own data set, which might be an Excel file. It might be in a real database, things like that. So it can come from all kinds of different parts of the organization depending on what you're trying to do. There's also places out there that you can get data that would be interesting to study for business or economic research. And one place is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which gives you all kinds of nice stuff. So I have that link, so if I click on that, it brings up this nice Bureau of Labor Statistics, all these different employment, inflation, and prices. So that's more economical kind of stuff, but maybe that interests you. So you could always look at that. So we need to organize the data for analysis. So it's often, first we have to construct the data set by figuring out what cases or units or objects we want to study. So we'll use those terms interchangeably, cases, units, and objects. So examples of the cases could be, I'm interested in understanding my customers better. Or there's a whole set of companies out there within a particular area, construction companies or paper mills, right? That I want to study. I could also be interested in studying students. So what I might be interested in is what kind of grades students get, how they do on their exams, how they do on their exercises, all that fun stuff. It could also be subjects in a medical study. So if I give them a certain drug, does their condition improve? Does it stay the same? Does it get worse? Things like that. So each case has attributes or characteristics that we're interested in. We're going to call each one of those variables. So examples of variables are, so if I had my customers, it could be the time spent on a website. So if I'm trying to sell stuff online, it's how much time do I spend on a website, how much money is actually spent by a customer, what the age of that customer is, what their gender is, what their income level is, other pages visited, things like that. So variables are the characteristics or attributes of a particular object or case or unit that we are trying to study. There are two types of data that we alluded to earlier. There's categorical. The variable falls into one of several groups or categories, or a lot of times I use the word bucket or bin, right? So it falls into one of several. So there, if we do like eye color can only fall into, a handful of actual options: blue, green, hazel, brown, that kind of stuff, gray. Then we have quantitative data. The variable takes on numerical values that we can actually perform some kind of arithmetic on. So I can add them, I can subtract them, I can divide them, I can multiply them, I can square them, I can take the natural log of them, things like that. And their quantitative can be either whole numbers or fractions or decimals. So then what we want to do is be able to represent data within a spreadsheet. So we will be heavily using Microsoft Excel 2016. So here's how we're going to primarily represent our data sets. A row is going to represent a case or a record, the thing that we're interested in studying. So if it was customers, each row would be a customer. Columns will represent the different variables or attributes for a particular record or case. So again, if it's customers, we'd want to know how long they spent on the website, how many pages they visited, how much money they spent, what items they actually purchased, the time of the purchase, all that good stuff. So that introduces us to what data is and how we're going to organize it. In our next video, we're going to look at a small data set and try to start to do some manipulations with it.